few more three-pointers, so you guys shot 25-9 or so?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't foresee us taking 25 threes per game during the course of the season, but when a team is zoning, naturally you're going to get more looks from the arc. So we did take 25. I didn't always like the shot selection, but all in all, 25 three-point attempts when a team's zoning the whole game is not too bad in my mind.
Yeah, speaking of zone defense, it looked like you guys have primarily been a man-to-man earlier in the season. Had a little bit of a maybe 2-3 zone at times today. Obviously, 15 of 50, it's a good defensive performance. But you thinking you might go to a little bit more zone in the games to come?
A lot of it just depends on who we are playing, where we are playing, how many shooters they have, our quickness and length that we're able to put on the floor, how fatigued certain guys are. So there's just a lot of criteria that goes into whether we go zone or not. It's definitely not like, hey, let's go zone now. So we're looking at quite a bit of stuff to try to make a wise decision on when to go zone. When you saw us in zone tonight late, it's because of the personnel we had in the game. So I doubt, though, very often we'll play a whole game of man-to-man. I'm sure we'll sprinkle in some zone here and there.
Sure. And following up on that, I guess, obviously they missed a lot of open shots, but given the fact that, you held them to 30% for the game, were you pleased with your defensive effort?
Yeah, I was. I like the fact that, for the most part, our guys did not play the score, and yet we just kept trying and trying and trying. And I hate to bring up the Kansas game, but I will. We did the same thing. There was still 3-4 minutes left in the game, and guys like Will Diorio and Dominic Ballard and Bryce Levitt and those kids, they came in and they played as hard as they could, even though we were getting smashed. But to me, that's a good sign of who those kids are and who we are. And we're trying to create an identity where we bring it every possession. And I thought our kids did that well tonight.
Sure.
Has Bryce just shown you something in practice, or?
Yeah, that's the only time I've ever seen him.
Well, I mean, did you expect to play him this early on in the season? Or?
No. He was actually, we were planning on redshirting him. But once Devontae went down and we were on the road, I talked to Bryce about it and said, hey, we really could use you. Because he does a pretty good job. He's a good walk-on, let me put it that way. I think if I was at Portland State, coaching in the Big Sky where I used to be, I think Bryce would be a very valuable player in our program. He's good.
Yeah, actually, going back to Devontae, I've heard mixed reports on when he might return, the severity of the injury. Can you comment on how he's progressing so far?
Yeah, he's had his leg or his knee in a knee brace. He's got a pretty big knee-leg brace. And him and Dr. Tingstead actually met tonight at halftime. But I don't know the results yet. So I'll know a little bit more probably, I don't know if I'm going to call him tonight, but I'll find out at least by tomorrow where things are.
Is that an MRI you were waiting on, or?
No, he was just going to look at him tonight and just kind of bend and twist and shove and hit and do his deal, and then try to gauge where that knee is, what's going on. I don't know. I know what I was told 3, 4, 5 days ago, whatever it was, that he was going to be out 2 to 3 weeks. But that's pretty vague. So again, I hope to know more when I talk to Dr. Tingstead tomorrow.
How relieved are you, I guess, just to be back home after what seemed like a really rough road trip?
Oh, it's great to be back home. It's fun to play at Beasley in front of a crowd. And that's considered a crowd, right? So it's nice to be here and play in front of a crowd of Cougar fans. And it was a rough road trip. It was rough. I mean, losing 3 games straight, and 2 of those games were very, very tight and extremely winnable. Difficult road trip.
Was it tougher for you guys to kind of mentally get over, the tight games or the blowout? Which was tougher to kind of get back and get into?
I don't know. I would say it was easier to get through the blowout because, one, you don't have time to dwell on it. I mean, we were playing the next night, I think 20 hours after the game. And so we didn't have time to think about, or hopefully think too much about what had happened the night before against Kansas. It was time to turn the page immediately and get on to Texas A&M. And I thought our guys did a great job of that.
Sure.
They knew the scout well. We guarded really, really well that night. I'm excited about the way we performed on the defensive end that game.
Ken, you get Idaho on Wednesday. What are some of the things that you're going to try to shore up prior to Wednesday?
Our passing, I think we need to continue to work on getting better at making the easy play and completing passes, and overall execution of our offense. Probably those two things.
Well, and you talked about, before you went on the road, finding out who you were going to be as a team on the road. You get, 6 games at home now, and then you get the game in Kennewick as well. What are you guys going to try to figure out here as far as being able to get an extended stretch at home?
Well, I'm anxious to get Devontae back in the picture, whether he misses 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 more games, whatever it is, I'm anxious to get him back, because really who we want to be come league, we need him. He's part of the equation, probably about 30 minutes per night, part of the equation. So between now and then, it's piece it together and try to win games.
And do you feel like, obviously you gave Dexter another start tonight, do you feel like he's doing the job pretty good for what you tasked him for?
He's doing okay. He's made a few shots, but he's got a few things to work on.
Yeah, speaking of that, I just wanted to ask, before the Utah Valley game, I remember, or afterwards, Brock had said the goal was to limit them to 20 points at halftime, I think less than 50 for the game. Considering Pine Bluff, isn't exactly a great team statistically, did you guys have different goals, same goals coming in?
Tonight we didn't actually have any goals. A lot of times we do have goals in games like this. But tonight, there was a different focus on what we were trying to accomplish. And so we didn't set those goals, but I'm glad we didn't, because we talked about we want to be a great defensive team every possession. And without setting the goals, I felt like we still accomplished that.
Any more questions?
One last one. You mentioned the immediate timeout right before the end of the first half. And I think Brock I don't think he'd scored before then, and then like back-to-back baskets and a three-point play there. Did you tell him to get going, or did he kind of take it upon himself at that point to get going?
I think he took it upon himself to just be a little more aggressive. He likes to score, and we like him to score. But they did a good job. Pine Bluff did a good job of crowding him every time he got the ball early on. And so his 14 points were not easy to come by.